And we're back after a unplanned, unexpected, I guess, little month hiatus. But it's all for good reasons, not because me and Logan had this big fight and falling out and drama. Watch for my Logan call-out video here shortly. Massive piece of shit he is.
I bring the boom.
But those are all good things. Good things. I recently moved. I coach football on the team we're coaching for. Or I coach for. Kind of went on an unexpected, deeper playoff run than normal. Got promoted to more of a full-time position at my regular job. So kind of been busy, but that's all kind of settling down now. And also, I have I don't know if I've ever announced this on the podcast. I have a baby coming. I got a baby on the way.
I got nothing new.
A little PWP baby. By the time you're listening to this, he might already be here. My lovely fiance, she is 39 weeks pregnant. So this child could come anytime. He could come during this recording. We hope not, because we gotta get some content out. So my son, you need to stay in there for a little bit longer, and then I'm sure he'll make his debut on the pod in a couple weeks. You'll probably hear him in the background at that point. So we'll get through it, though. We'll make it through.
We always do.
We kind of missed a lot the past month or so. Big Boom and AJ. Big Justice made their big in-ring debut at AEW. If they probably had one more match, they probably would have cracked their top 25 of 2024.
I got to give him credit. He apparently did the whole match with a broken foot. And for someone that doesn't do it regularly, it's pretty impressive. Not going to treat him like he's the second coming, like some people on the internet have, or like QT Marshall does when he defends him. But still pretty cool.
He's I know you're an old man, so you don't really have TikTok downloaded. But might as well not even get on the bandwagon now. I just read before we started recording that the TikTok ban is still in effect, and it's going to happen in like 40 days or something like that. So might as well just not even download it.
Oh,
but he was promoting himself on TikTok, saying that his broken foot's only take about like 6 weeks to heal, and he'll be back in an AEW ring. So he's planning on wrestling some more for AEW at least.
Yeah, I saw that. I'm sure it's got to bring some fans to it, because he's one of the few not wrestling online personalities I can think of that isn't a piece of shit. He might be annoying.
Not yet, anyway. We don't know.
Yeah, not yet. He might be a little.
We might eat those words here in like 8 months. It comes out that like that meat cran video you show me.
Yeah,
of him selling his son at Costco for a discount. That could be real. That could happen.
But I mean, that was big. A WWE Hall of Famer is now president of the United States. Yep. Again. We missed that. And Linda McMahon is going to be in his cabinet as Secretary of Education.
Great. That's all I gotta say for that.
Wrestling world is taking the regular world by storm. Watch out, because soon IRS, Mike Rotundo, is going to run the IRS. You heard it here first. Don't say I didn't warn you.
It's like Vince. Is he gonna put like Vince McMahon as like the head of the Department of Women's Health or something like that?
Heard, speaking of things we missed, that Vince is getting a little crew together. And he's going to be recording his own thoughts on the Monday Night Wars. That's going to be the first thing this production company puts out.
Like a podcast?
So we're going to get to... I don't know if it's a podcast, if it's going to be a recorded interview, but he supposedly, the rumored innuendo is he is going to be talking about his views of the Monday Night War, which I think could be interesting because whenever he's on those videos, he doesn't really get down to the nitty-gritty. And I'm thinking now that he's separated, he's going to try and create some controversy. So let's see See what
Yeah,
he says.
I wouldn't mind some more Vince stuff. I want more for like more of a biography from him, especially his earlier days.
Yeah.
Because when that doc was coming out, I figured that we eventually either around that time or maybe when I don't want to say it. I'm not gonna wish that upon him, but when he passes, we'll probably do like a deep dive into the life of Vince. So I've been trying to look
Oh
into
yeah.
more of his like early life. There's really not much out there in terms
No,
of what he did. There's this one
he's kind of
book.
kept it close to his chest.
I've been listening to this one book on an audiobook on Spotify by Abraham Wiseman.
Okay.
He does a pretty good job. I got him to he covers his entire life, but a lot of it is kind of like hearsay.
Yeah.
So not much going on. But yeah, well, we've done a lot in that month and a half too. But we'll try to talk about that in our next podcast. Went to Bound for Glory. We had a great time there. Been working with a bunch of different people on our social media. But that's a conversation for our next episode. This episode, we're solely focusing on our top 25 of 2024. A tradition now dating back
Yes.
to 2022. When was our first year?
Somewhere in there. I know that the Shield have pretty much dominated our top 3 since we've started it.
2021. So we did a top 25 of 21. Let's see. Who was our number one? Our top 5. Okay. Moxley was number 6 in 21. Number 5 was Kota Ibushi. Number 4 was Adam Cole. Number 3 was Bobby Lashley. 2 was Kenny Omega. Number 1 was Roman Reigns.
Yep.
And then in 2022, our top 25, at 6, we had Bryan Danielson. Number 5 was Cody Rhodes. 4 was Seth Rollins. 3 was Kazuchika Okada. 2 was Jon Moxley. And number 1 was Roman Reigns. And then for our number 23, our top 25 of 2023, number 5 was Gunther, 4 was MJF, number 3 was Roman Reigns, 2 was Jon Moxley, and number 1 was Seth Rollins. We'll see how they turn out this year. I'll be really surprised if Moxley, Seth, and Roman made their way into the top 3 this year based on the year they had. But we have a lot to unpack here. We have some honorable mentions. We have 25 people to go over and hopefully not piss too many people off with our rankings. So we should preface this by saying that these are our opinions and our rankings based on people we've watched this year, whether it be in person or on TV. So there's some people that probably wrestle for like AAA and New Japan, stuff like that. That we don't watch.
It's just so hard unless being a wrestling quote unquote journalist is your full-time job, or wrestling social media is your full-time job. Because as you mentioned, yeah, there's AAA, there's New Japan, there's MLW, there's GCW. Scott D'Amore just did the new Canadian promotion. There's CMLL.
So
the list goes on.
This top 25 covers WWE, NXT, AEW, Ring of Honor, TNA. I don't believe we have anybody else really. A lot of people do work on the indies and then other companies as well, but mostly those 4, the big 4, I'd say, or 5. If you want to count AEW and Ring of Honor as separate ones.
Yeah, and I mean it shows even in our honorable mentions. We've got a handful this year. The only representation really from AAA comes in our honorable mentions for El Hijo de Vikingo, who we actually saw at Bound for Glory. He's made some appearances for AEW. It seemed like he was supposed to make more for TNA, but he did get injured at Bound for Glory. He's one of the few large AAA stars not to sign with AEW. If the injury bug can stay away from him, I wouldn't doubt him being on the top 25 of next year. But I mean, with that high octane style, injuries are going to happen. and we got to see it up close and personal.
Yeah, him and Mike Bailey really blew me away the first time seeing both of those guys in person at Bound for Glory. So
We also have someone else that we saw at Bound for Glory, Matt Cardona. If Cardona hadn't been hurt for majority of this year, he would most certainly be on this list. You could almost make a top 25 based on indie wrestlers, based on the promotions that Cardona wrestles in.
yeah,
He takes the indie god, indie taker characters to heart. He actually just this past week showed up in Ring of Honor to fight Chris Jericho at Hammerstein Ballroom. Before that, of course, he's been on GCW because he is King of the Deathmatch. He's been in TNA. You never know where he's going to pop up. And when he's not wrestling, he does have his podcasting network that is able to keep himself in a prominent role even while out with injury. I wouldn't be shocked if he makes a Royal Rumble appearance this year. It's been teased heavily, and that's really the last spot he has to go now that he's hitting up Ring of Honor. Because as I said, he's been everywhere. Also on our honorable mentions is Carmelo Hayes, NXT favorite. Now he is in a good spot on SmackDown on the main roster. He's went after the U.S. title. I wouldn't be surprised if he wins that shortly. He's been having some good matches with LA Knight and Andrade as of late. And now that Shinsuke Nakamura is the U.S. champion, I wouldn't be surprised if we got some classics with Carmelo and Shinsuke.
yeah. 2025 is gonna be a breakout year for Carmelo. I can almost guarantee it. If I was booking for WWE, I'd give him in a prominent spot at WrestleMania this year. Let him just ball out.
Yeah, we also have someone else that I think will be a big year. Former NXT champion as well, Ethan Page. Ethan Page came, of course, from AEW / Ring of Honor. He was one of the first big jokers in the Joker Battle Royals for AEW, or the Casino Battle Royals. And, he kind of floundered, was kind of mid-card, didn't really do a whole lot. Came to NXT and kind of just took the promotion by storm. As I said, an NXT champion already, still feuding, still in the main hunt. I wouldn't be surprised if he moved up to the main card. He is a Cody Rhodes guy, so that's got to help.
From the
But he
Nightmare
definitely,
Factory.
but he does back up his talent. And with Josh Alexander leaving TNA soon, I wouldn't be surprised if we get a reunion of the North in the WWE. The North, though, a team or someone that they'd have to contend with if they were in AEW and Ring of Honor still would be Dustin Rhodes. Dustin, he just keeps stepping, right? He keeps having good matches. He's helping the younger talent. He's got his own wrestling promotion. But I couldn't believe it when he was not only the Ring of Honor 6-man tag team champions with the Von Erich boys, but at the same time, he won the Ring of Honor tag team titles with Sammy Guevara. It's almost like he's building a young Texan stable. I'm not really sure where it's going. I don't know if he's going to turn on them, if they'll turn on him. Something's going to give. I'm excited. But I mean, at his age, still putting on the matches he is, it's almost like a Jordan with the Wizards, right? He might not be able to move as fast as he once did, but he's still probably 80% better than 80% of a lot of the talent, I would say.
Yeah.
And finally, our biggest honorable mention, friend of the podcast. We've got to be on double-digit podcasts on him at this point. CM Punk.
Yeah. Man.
Maybe he'd have been on the list if, again, this week, it's turning out he and AEW are getting in some lawsuit trouble.
Are they?
From Nick Nemeth's... Yeah, you didn't see this. Nick Nemeth's brother, Ryan Nemeth, is... a lawsuit is either brewing or has already happened, where he was told by AEW to talk bad about CM Punk. and he was turned away from a show because CM Punk was there. Because if you remember, Ryan Nemeth was one of them. Punk supposedly told to go home.
Oh, for Collision?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
So big things brewing, but it's not all negative for Punk this year. His WWE run, although he did get injured at the Rumble, and a lot of people online laughed. He had a big moment at Mania, costing McIntyre, and he just was a part of probably one of the bigger stories with the Bloodline, with that War Games match being brought in by Paul Heyman, being the final guy. You can see that Roman and him are feuding. I read that the supposed feud that Punk and Rollins were going to have, which it seems it still could, but they could pivot and just go Punk and Reigns, because it's kind of the same. They were brought in as the Shield. They feuded with Punk, and now they're upset Punk's back. We'll have to see. I have been reading that all the young guys backstage he's making sure to reach out to them and help them. Even the women wrestlers, he's also been a joy to work with, is what I've read.
I think he's
but I chalk that up as.
I think about this.
Yeah, I mean, if you get fired from a job for your attitude, you're not gonna go to your next job and be a dick.
Yeah, you're
gonna go to that next job and be like, "Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Oh, yes, sir." So we'll have to see. I mean, because you figure if WWE were to fire him, that really leaves him no place to go. That's going to pay him the type of money that he wants. So he's just going to be there. He's going to hang out with his friends. I mean, good for him. We'll have to see how many CM Punk podcasts 2025 brings.
Hopefully some good ones. I'm tired. I like the guy. I'm tired of talking bad about him. You said it all. He's very obviously trying to watch himself, trying not to get into more trouble, but
and it seems they're being smart and they're picking where he's wrestling. Like, they're not just having him go out on TV each week and wrestle. I kind of thought that wasn't a great decision on AEW's part. I know a lot of that he wanted to do, but sometimes he would look so gassed, or sometimes he'd be in matches that you're like, why is he facing this guy? The ones that have been picked for him with WWE have been great. The McIntyre feud was amazing. I still can't believe that they had a feud and got over a fucking bracelet.
A Taylor Swift friendship bracelet.
A Taylor Swift friendship bracelet for his dog.
His wife's name was on
And now his dog is a plushie on WWE Shop, and it's one of the top sellers.
Is he really? Hold on. How much is it?
Yeah.
Do you know how much it is?
Yeah, I'm almost certain Larry's one. I at least saw.
I'm heading to WWE Shop right now. All right.
Yeah, CM Punk Larry the Dog toy plush. It's out of stock, but it is $27.99.
Are you fucking kidding me? It's out of stock?
It's out of stock. Well, maybe Santa will bring you one.
Santa can bring me one of these NFL championship belts. That'd be cool.
No, you wanted the Larry plush. Don't get greedy.
Did they not? Is this still a thing where they don't have the Jacksonville Jaguars one?
I don't know. But those are honorable mentions. Page, Cardona, Punk, Hayes, Rhodes, and Vikingo. Any of them could appear on the top 25 next year. I believe we've had Cardona and Vikingo on our list before, maybe even Punk. But that's just how the list works, right?
Yeah,
people.
Some people you have to make room for others, and these are the first guys that I feel like we need to leave them off for whatever reason. I know a lot of internet wrestling fans will probably not like that somebody like Vikingo and Cardona got left off the list.
Especially, I guess I'll just rip the Band-Aid off. They're not going to like the left off the list with our number 25, Judgment Day's own, the ladies' man himself, Latino Heat 2.0, Dirty Dominic Mysterio.
Yeah, but I would totally pick. I'm going to say this with a straight face. if I was doing like a WWE style draft lottery, and me and you were going back and forth, and I had to pick between Dirty Dom and Vikingo, I might pick Dirty Dom.
That's the thing, right? Like Dirty Dom,
he's a character.
Is at that point. Yeah, he's a character. He can hold his own in the ring. He's proven it before, and now he's proven that he's got the charisma. It seems like each year he improves on a different level, right? Whether it be wrestling, whether it be storytelling, whether it be just being a little prick. He's perfect, and that's the thing. His dad is the perennial babyface, and Dom is almost looking like he's going to be a heel for life,
which I'm fine with. He's doing great. There's probably a handful of wrestling stories this year that really like grabbed my attention that I was like actually excited to watch week to week or catch up on like social media or on their YouTube to see what happened. And that was one of them. I was like, once Rhea got hurt, okay, I knew, all right, Liv and Dom are gonna do their thing for a while and be
they're gonna bang.
They're gonna get it on. And I was like,
and that's the thing,
I was
right?
Waiting for that moment, and it happened for her to come back and have that moment with her music hitting and everybody freaking the fuck out, and it happened, and it was awesome. Great moment for Dirty Dom. He should be world champion.
Certainly. So wrestling, we've said it before, is a soap opera, right? That's usually what you hear from the people who don't watch it regularly, and they're not half wrong. But Dom, I mean, being Rhea's guy, and then Liv coming in, and then with whoever's making these decisions to have like Liv Morgan walk into the room that Dom just walked in, but in the background so you don't see it at first, or to have her have his handkerchief in her pocket, brilliant. And then like you said, he turned on Rhea. Rhea then instantly became babyface, and all anyone wanted to see was Dom getting his teeth kicked in. That's what I kept telling. That's what I kept telling my wife, is they're setting this up so that way eventually Rhea gets her hands on Dom. I don't know if they're going to do an intergender match, if they'll do a handicap match, but at one point Rhea's going to grab Dom by that mullet and just awesome. Destroy him, and the fans are going to go nuts. Or my other thought, because he's shown, he's looked at Tiffany Stratton before. Mm-hmm. What if he somehow wrongs Liv? Because weren't Rhea and Liv tag team champions at one point?
Yeah. They were they were a tag team.
Yeah. So he's going to fuck around. He's going to fuck around, and he's going to find out. I'm excited for whatever happens. I'm waiting for a hair versus mask match because it was teased like a year ago. That's why he was growing his hair out.
Yeah. Are they going to do Ray versus Dom again at Mania this year?
And have Ray win again? I think it'd be so funny. Because that's such an Eddie Guerrero thing. If you remember when Ray and Eddie first started feuding after WrestleMania 21, it's because Eddie could never beat Ray.
Yeah.
So it's just tie everything together in a neat little bow. I'm sure even if you teamed Ray and Rhea together, you could have Ray stand on Rhea's shoulders and come off with a frog splash or something. I don't know. There's a lot you could do with Dom. That's why Dom's at 25. This isn't all about how good of a wrestler you are. This is, like you said, who we've watched, who entertains us.
If we're going on how good a wrestler they are, he'd obviously be top 5. Come on.
Yeah.
He's great in the ring. That 619 looks devastating every time he does it.
It's because he's got that Guerrero bloodline.
Yeah.
But as much as I would love to sit and just gush over Dirty Dom, which is someone, if you remember, when we were in Knoxville, I complained about him because I said he hasn't improved. Which, wrestling-wise, I think he reached his peak in his first couple matches. But that's beside the point. It's all right. 25, Dirty Dom, waiting to see him climb up the list more. And going from one side of wrestling to the other, 24, one of them boys, Mark Briscoe. I just have to say, I'm glad to see that Mark was able to rebound after the tragic passing of his brother. It's one of those things where we even questioned how he's going to go on. He teamed with his brother for so many years,
Yeah.
and nobody thought of Jay Briscoe and Mark Briscoe. They thought of the Briscoe brothers. It's kind of like the Hardy Boys. Whenever one of them retires, it's going to be hard for me to separate them, especially since they've teamed for the past few years. Mark Briscoe's big crowning achievement, he did win the Ring of Honor Championship, meaning that both he and Jay at one point have won the Ring of Honor title. He also was on Team AEW, which I still don't understand why Team AEW wasn't AEW contracted talent. But that's beside the point. That's an AEW decision. He's also in a tag team or a stable, which I'll be the first to admit I don't watch a lot of AEW TV. But he's within a stable that I'm very excited to kind of go and watch. Tomohiro Ishii, Kyle O'Reilly, and Orange Cassidy with Mark Briscoe called the Conglomeration. That seems like a bullshit WWE Universe stable, but I'm here for it.
It is. Yeah.
Like, I love it. Because they're all goofy in their own way, right? Like, Ishii's just going to kick your ass. Kyle O'Reilly throws kicks like they're nobody's business. And he seems to be getting just more and more wild. Orange Cassidy is Orange Cassidy. And then Mark Briscoe does Kung Fu Karate. I mean, what a team.
Yeah, I was
Like
happy
I said,
for Briscoe winning the Ring of Honor World Title. I know a lot of negative people say that it was a little obvious.
Oh, yeah.
But who cares? I don't care.
Yeah, it's the fun of wrestling sometimes, right? Like, you know something's going to happen. Was it obvious that the original Bloodline was getting back together? Yeah, I said that months ago, and I almost booked it spot for spot. Does that make it any less fun? No. Was I any less excited when Sami Zayn joined up with them? No. So let Mark have his moment. Like I said, I'm excited that he's still performing well on both Ring of Honor and AEW. And I wouldn't be surprised if he's another that could climb up our list in the near future. And now, probably at 23 is going to be the first true spot where people might get angry with us. Number 23, Hangman Adam Page.
Well, people can get angry at us because he has been a kind of an angry boy the past year or so. He's been very, very upset, specifically with the likes of Swerve Strickland, and he will not, spoiler alert, he will not be happy that Swerve is ranked ahead of him this year. But other than that, I will say though, because I know you don't watch AEW too much, and I'm not some guy that watches it every week either. But from what I have watched, his character has seemed to be kind of what's the word, stagnant. Kind of treading water recently. It's kind of like the people he's been feuding with has kind of been doing other things, and he's just kind of been waiting. Like Swerve kind of went off and did that thing with Brian Danielson.
Yeah.
And then it's like, but I'm still mad at you. I'm going to sit here and wait. We had those great matches, but I'm going to beat you up eventually. That's the best.
So what you're saying is,
I could be totally off base, and somebody that watches AEW week to week and gets the intricate storylines that's woven week to week, could tell me I'm totally wrong, and I'll accept it. That's how I feel about Hangman. That's kind of why I related to you when we're putting this list together. That his whole kind of character this week or this year, because he has a really thick mustache now. He's really angry.
I do too.
And
I am too.
He's beating up Swerve Strickland.
I am not. So what you're saying is his spot on our list is definitely cowboy shit.
Cowboy shizness.
Next on our list here at 22, Whoop That Trick.
And he's only on 22 because of that saying. Whoop that trick.
Yeah,
He's also been a pretty good NXT. He's been a pretty good NXT champion as well.
I think the best of the year, to be honest. He's proven this year he can feud with anyone. He started the year feuding with Dragunov, and he's kind of ended the year with Ethan Page. I mean, two very different wrestlers, both very good, and the fact that he's able to adapt to those styles, especially so young in his career, good for him. I know he is very popular with the NXT faithful, and I'm excited for when he goes to the main roster as well, because I'm half expecting a reunion with Carmelo, and they're gonna tear apart the main event scene on the main roster.
Yeah, for sure. For sure.
And then next up, we have the former leader of the Alpha Academy at number 21. No disrespect to him, but he is Kurt Angle reincarnated, minus the perks. It's Chad Gable. Chad Gable is just one of the best technical wrestlers in the world today. And he's one of those, kind of like Kurt Angle too. He'll take anything and run with it. Shorty G made it his own. Alpha Academy made it his own. Feud with the Wyatt Six didn't come out looking half bad. I go back and forth on Sami Zayn being the one that beat Gunther, because Chad Gable at the time would have been the guy to do it. The All-American, the underdog. I know why they did it with Sami. I'm not saying Sami was the wrong choice, but that's the first time in a long time that I'm like, damn, maybe that guy should have done it.
Yeah.
And now putting Chad Gable with the Creeds and Ivy Nile, they're a force to be reckoned with. They keep making little teases to Kurt Angle. Like, I heard them one week talk about integrity. I don't know if that's Triple H poking the internet community, or if Kurt Angle's actually going to come in at one point and manage them.
He's been poking me. That's all I can say.
But regardless, Chad Gable still, I think Gable, and this might seem like a dig, he's Dolph Ziggler for WWE right now. Like, you're going to put him in the ring with anyone, and he's going to put on at least a 3-star match, regardless of who it is. But if you put him in there with a Cody or a Cena, you're getting 4 to 5 stars. Chad Gable is the real deal, and he's one I will guarantee will move up the list for 2025.
For sure. I'd be surprised if he doesn't. He deserves it.
He's ready, he's willing, and he's Gable.
He just needs more intensity, integrity, and intelligence.
And milk.
And more milk.
Now that we're out of the bottom of the top 25, we're going to number 20. And speaking of someone that's moved up, I'm pretty sure this man's moved up on our list. It's Braun Breaker. Multiple-time Intercontinental Champion now. Powerhouse on the Monday Night Raw scene. Shoulder block after shoulder block, suplex after suplex, making his dad and his uncle proud. I am ready. They teased it once. I'm ready for a Braun Breaker Jacob Fatu match.
Oh, God. Big meaty men slapping meat.
Yeah. Yep. I'm excited. You're excited. Big E's excited. I don't even know how the ring will contain him. and then I'm scared because at either time, either of them will break out into a shoot.
Yeah.
Braun kind of started the year off a little dicey, I'll admit. They made some what I thought was questionable decisions, and then having him lose the title to Jey Uso, but he won it back, and it did play into the Bloodline story, so no true complaints anymore. And I mean, already being a singles champion in WWE, that puts him above his dad and uncle. So we'll have to see if
being on the PWP top 20, being on PWP top 25 puts him ahead of them too. They've never been.
Yeah, they were never on it.
Yeah, never will be, unless something drastic happens.
Plus, he did not yell remarks at a WrestleCon, so thank you for that, Braun Breaker. And now at 19, we have L.A. Knight. We got to see him at SummerSlam 2 years ago. He won the Slim Jim Battle Royal. I was worried. I thought they were going to saddle him as just a sponsorship voice. As I mentioned, if people can't figure it out, he was picked because Macho Man said, "Ooh, yeah," and LA Knight says, "Yeah." So they could just splice him in the commercial. If you haven't figured it out yet, sorry for ruining the magic. I know it's the holiday season, but that's why they did it. I mean, he did win the U.S. title. Kind of a boring reign, if I'm going to be perfectly honest. I can't say I was upset when Shinsuke beat him.
He didn't do much of anything.
No, like I said, it was Carmelo and Andrade, I believe, who he feuded with mostly. This is going to be the real test, right? Because when you lose that first title and you have to do something afterward, that's when you prove if you're going to be like a Randy Orton or if you're going to be a Jinder Mahal.
I like that comparison. If I had to guess, his next big thing will probably be, I'm declaring for the Rumble so I can get that World Championship, and then he's going to lose. And then whoever, I'm sure he has to get a one-on-one kind of big feud match at WrestleMania if they're really serious about him.
Yes.
I'm just wondering who it would be. That'd probably be a discussion for us probably in January when we kind of get more of a idea about what's going to happen at Mania.
I will say he got to fight AJ Styles at WrestleMania. It's pretty big considering AJ Styles' WrestleMania opponents have been Jericho, Shinsuke, Undertaker, The New Day, etc., etc. Whoever Styles gets put up against is one of the top guys. So for LA Knight to get a match with AJ Styles, especially at Mania, good for him. And like I said, he finally got a title. Do I think he could win a heavyweight title in the near future? Yes, if they keep them separated. Yeah. If it becomes one title, I don't think you can put him in the caliber of McIntyre, Roman, Breaker.
I'll put it this way. I don't think he's going to win the WWE Championship anytime soon. He might win the world title if something happens to Gunther, and Gunther goes after the WWE title. Because it seems whenever they do like a brand split, like a split world title, one is kind of like, these were the actual main eventers fight for.
Yes.
And then they don't disrespect to Gunther, but he's kind of not really there yet. He will be. I think he's there. He just has to make that step from star to superstar. You know what I'm saying? I think that'd be the next step for LA Knight.
I still think LA Knight could. I think he's my bet already to win the men's Money in the Bank, because when his music plays and the goes across and the crowd goes nuts as he's running down to cash in, that's a perfect moment. Unless someone else comes along, he's my too soon Money in the Bank pick.
Really?
Yep. I think with everything he has going for him, with this theme, with the popularity, it makes sense. Plus, he could play a heel really well. And a lot of times when you have that Money in the Bank, you kind of have to dive into the heelishness.
Well,
Because
yeah.
you're teasing that you're going to cash in. You're teasing you're going to jump the guy. He could do it.
I don't want to get too much into it because I feel like we're going to do some like a prediction thing for our like year in review, like look ahead type deal.
Yeah.
Let me ask you a couple questions.
Yeah.
One, do you think John Cena will win a world title?
100%.
Do you think
100%.
Do you think John Cena's going to win the Royal Rumble?
100%.
You think he's winning the Rumble?
I think that they're going to have him tie Stone Cold Rumble wins. I think they're going to have him beat Ric Flair's world title wins. Sky's the limit. I think Triple H, if you cannot tell, loves a retirement tour. Loves retiring people on top. He doesn't go with the old school way. So he's going to bring Big Match John in, and he's going to let John go out on top.
So I don't think he's gonna win the Rumble. I was saying he have a better chance winning winning Money in the Bank and doing one things like I'm cashing in at so and so event. He might hang on to it all year, and then for his last match, he can be like, I'm cashing in to get my 17th title. Blah 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 blah. Anyway, that's a conversation for another pod.
Yes. Another LA Knight prediction, though, or not prediction, something that could happen. I'm sure you're not fully aware of this, but in NWA and in TNA, Eli Drake, the name LA Knight went by before, won tag team championships. Do you know who his tag team partner was?
Who?
Scott Steiner. I'm just saying, it's right there. Put LA Knight and Breaker together. Let them do to the tag division what poor Baron Corbin and Braun Breaker could have done. But I guess that's another possible thing to happen next year. We'll get into that more. And all I could say for this next, number 18, Yeet, who I am also calling the Press Conference Destroyer. He and Cody went off the rails. He and Punk went off the rails. Yeah. Jey Uso, to pull back the curtain for fans here, we had an episode dialed up where I went on about a 30-minute rant that Rikishi was putting too much stock into his sons.
Yeah.
And that I said the Usos would only ever be tag champions. Solo Sikoa would maybe win a mid-card title, but they're not as good as Rikishi says. He needs to back off and he needs to get off the keyboard. And that same fucking week, they have Jey Uso beat Braun Breaker for the title. So that's probably one of like maybe 3 podcasts over time that we've just canned. Granted, there's a technical issue with it, but normally if there's a tech issue, we'll go back and we'll painstakingly re-record everything.
Was that the one that, like, no matter what I tried, it, like,
Yep.
just gave me a processing error?
Yep.
Yeah.
Because it knew.
Somebody was looking out for you.
I still don't love the Usos as singles guys, I'll say it.
I don't like Jimmy as a singles guy.
I don't like either.
He seems lost.
Well,
another spoiler, Jimmy's not on this list, so I think that kind of explains why. But,
yeah.
Yeah, but I think they worked, like, that moment they had at War Games, of them working together, it was kind of like a breath of fresh air. Like, oh yeah, that's what the fucking Usos are.
Not only that moment, but I think it was Sammy and Jimmy were doing the handshake, and then Jay was on the ground, and he also did the handshake. When they're together, they're so good. They're like peanut butter and jelly, right? Like, you can have a jelly sandwich. You can have a peanut butter sandwich. But who the fuck wants that? You want them together.
Yeah.
Together, they are the sandwich. And I'm sure, again, people aren't going to like that. Jey Uso's got a huge fan base. A lot of people love him. A lot of people love the Yeet. I do not love the Yeet. I will respect his game.
No Yeet.
But no Yeet from this guy. Maybe I'm old. Maybe I don't know. Maybe I'm a hater of the bloodline. but no yeet. But I will. He deserves a spot on this list. Even though that WrestleMania match with Jimmy Uso that everyone wanted, it was a stinker. Everybody, let me just remind you that match was a stinker.
Worst match on both nights.
Worst.
Probably the worst match in the past 3 or 4 years since 20.
And you know what? I'll say it. It's not Jey Uso's fault. It's not Jimmy Uso's fault. It's Rikishi's fault. Next, number 17. Right? 29. Yeah. 17. Damian Priest, the former heavyweight champion, the former co-head of the Judgment Day.
Bisexual Undertaker.
Yes, bisexual Undertaker. Damian Priest had a huge Mania moment. He came out, he cashed in. CM Punk was a dirty little scoundrel, distracted Drew McIntyre. I'll admit, I'm upset. I was a little upset about that. I really like McIntyre. Some people find him boring. I don't. But Priest cashing in, that was probably best for business at the time. He's proven his own against Gunther. I'll be the first to admit, when it was him and Gunther, I thought it would look terrible. Because I didn't think Priest would match up with him. But then again, when he was in Ring of Honor as Punishment Martinez, I thought the same thing that in feuds he had. And he always came out looking good. NXT, always thought the matches he would go into weren't going to work out. Always came out looking good. I love the Terror Twins thing that he did with Rhea. And I love that they let him beat down Gunther backstage recently. Because A, it makes Priest look strong. B, it does not book them in a corner. Because what the wrestling community doesn't realize is if Gunther stays on his feet too long, we're going to get another Roman Reigns. We're going to get another John Cena. We're going to get another Brock Lesnar. And wrestling fans hate that. Yeah. So just let your big guy get taken out by someone who's equally as big. Because Damian Priest is a big boy. It's not crazy to have him take out Gunther. I'm excited to see what Priest does going forward. It seems like he's getting settled back into another feud with Finn Balor. I don't know how I feel about that. Maybe this will finally end the Judgment Day saga. I don't know. Carlito's not really doing much. They haven't done anything with the tag titles. When Dominic Mysterio is your MVP, maybe it's time to close the doors.
Yeah, I'm not a huge fan of Damian Priest, I'll admit it. And if I'm being completely honest, I'll be really surprised next year if he makes our top 25. I don't think he will. I think him having the WrestleMania moment and winning the world title and being world champion for 6 months, something like that, 5 months,
yeah,
for a while, and that's the only reason he's at 17. And I don't know. You kind of put the nail on the head. You kind of don't expect much of him, but he does come out and perform
all the time, and
he does well. His matches have been pretty good this year, I will admit, but still, I'm not his biggest fan. I don't know what it is. I think once this Judgment Day feud with him and Rhea, and when that kind of comes to its natural conclusion, I don't know what he'll do next, if he'll be as impactful. I'll take money out and say if I could bet money on it, he will not be a top 25 next year. Not to put a hamper on number 7. Number 17 is pretty good. Because 7 to me in top 25 is good. It's a good spot. He had a good year. But
I've been making comparisons on this list a lot, and a big one that I've noticed with him, it's kind of like Kane. He's a big man. He gets put in matches with little guys, big guys. He always seems to do good ones, and like you said, you don't really expect much of him. I'm not saying late 90s Kane. I'm saying 2006, 2008.
Yeah.
And I mean, the one thing that I do find fun is Edge handpicked him and Rhea. Even though Edge might make poor decisions jumping off cages, he clearly has an eye for talent.
Yeah, he jumped off the top 25 list this year. Yeah, at least on Rhea's part, I'll say.
Yeah, so we go from someone that you're not too impressed with at 17 to someone at 16 who I can't really get a read on him with you. I don't know if you don't like him, if it's a meme. Um, do you believe in Joe Hendry?
Uh, it's hard. This is not like it seems like a yes or no question. But I think it's a little bit more complicated than that. Do I think you should have won at Bound for Glory? Maybe. I don't know. It's one of those things where
Bradshaw said no.
it's just one of those things where okay, obviously majority of fans like him. He has a he's got the entrance music that people like to sing along to. He kind of won me over with the Detroit Eminem entrance. I like
Yeah.
that was cool. I'm a fan of his. I think he's great. But do I think he's like this, like the next like Daniel Bryan, like yes movement type guy where like the fans can like will him to a world title? I don't know. That's
So Joe Hendry started watching when he's on What Culture Pro Wrestling. Pretty good there. Had some good matches. He was like the guy that promotion. It's kind of funny because his career spans the pod. Because when we started the pod, What Culture Pro Wrestling was becoming pretty big. We went to a Ring of Honor show for my bachelor party. He was there. We got invited to Bound for Glory by TNA, and he's in the main event. That being said, you mentioned the Daniel Bryan Yes movement.
mm-hmm.
Daniel Bryan can wrestle. Joe Hendry can sing songs. I don't want to get too much into it because then I think it'll be a deep dive of me kind of disrespecting his in-ring work. But can songs make you a champion? Like Zack Ryder won the U.S. title, but he had to own his craft and become just great in the ring to become the indie taker and win all these titles. John Cena won the U.S. title because of the thugonomic stuff, but he had to own his craft and be great in the ring to be a heavyweight champion. Joe Hendry is fun, and I believe in Joe Hendry stuff's great. We have bumper stickers that say I believe in Joe Hendry. But is he great enough in the ring to be a heavyweight champion in a promotion that has Nick Nemeth, that has Moose, that had Speedball Mike Bailey? No. I'll say it. Nope. He has to own his craft a little more. The talent pool is too good there. Will he be a challenger for a long time? Yes. Do I suspect he'll show back up in NXT? Do I think he'll be a Royal Rumble surprise? Yes. Will he be a heavyweight champion anytime soon? That's a big no from me.
Yeah, I would agree. I know a lot of our friends that listen will not like that take from us.
They might actually be shocked.
They're big Joe Hendry guys.
Yeah, and Joe Hendry's a great guy. I went to the press conference for Bound for Glory. He was very honest. He's very truthful. They put in the email, no pictures afterward, but he, Nemeth, and the Hardys made sure to take pictures with a couple of the kids that were there. He's a great person. Don't let me take my views on his wrestling away from how good of a person he is. But he's just not there yet, which is why he is 16 and not any higher. Could he go up? Yes. If he figured out how to move around the ring, I'd say he's at a B right now. If he gets to the A level, top 10 for sure. But songs can only get you so far.
Songs can get you to number 16.
Songs can get you to 16 on our top 25, yeah.
The song, and an Eminem entrance. On
Yes.
this southeastern Michigan-based pod, will get you into the top 16.
So it's funny because we've mentioned how we've seen certain people so far on the list. You know, we've seen a lot of the WWE guys because of our SummerSlam trip. We saw Mark Briscoe at Ric Flair's last match. I've seen Damian Priest at Ring of Honor shows. We obviously saw Joe Hendry. I don't know if you remember, we got a taste of Jacob Fatu at Ric Flair's last match when we went.
Oh yeah, we did. I remember.
And from there, I sang his praises. He's one of the people that if I've had a little bit to drink here, I go on YouTube, and when I show my wife wrestling clips, one of the ones in my search bar is Jacob Fatu Moonsault, because I just think it's amazing how that big man can get up there and do that. Everyone likes to sing the praises of Umaga. Jacob Fatu, if he keeps up, is going to make people forget Umaga. Jacob Fatu right now, if he keeps up, is going to be up there in the upper echelon with the Anoa'i Fatu family, with The Rock, with Yokozuna, with Roman Reigns. He's surpassed Solo Sikoa at this point. I think if they would have had Jacob to be the enforcer, we wouldn't know who Solo is.
No.
Jacob is he's an animal. He lives the gimmick. I love that if he messes a move up, he acts like he's hurt. I cannot sing his praises more enough. And the only reason he's this low for me is because he's kind of played the Solo role, but I think he's played it better. Like, you would look at Solo Sikoa sometimes and be like, oh, yep, there he is. Like, if you're a wrestler in the ring and you saw Solo on the outside, you might flip him the bird. You might spit at him. You might, come on, bring it. You look at Jacob Fatu standing on the outside, I'm going to cover my eyes. I'm not going to look at him. I don't want to get messed up.
Solo, I always got the impression of Solo that he's somebody that like anybody could beat on any given day.
Yeah.
Like Dominic Mysterio could beat Solo in on any given Sunday, you know.
Yep.
With Fatu, I don't think that at all. Like kayfabe wise, like I feel like even somebody like Cody and like Roman, they would have a hard time beating him. Like I think they would still beat him. Like you know what I'm saying?
It goes back to that. It goes back to that tag team title reign, right?
I don't think Sami Zayn would beat him 1-on-1. Like
no.
If
but,
only regular like Monday Night Raw match, you know.
Yeah, and like I said, it goes back to that tag title reign, right? He and Tama Tonga won the titles, but Solo, quote unquote, took the title off Jacob because he's his enforcer. No, they took the title off Jacob because they knew there's no way in hell that a New Day, a Motor City Machine Guns, a DIY, any of those teams are going to beat Jacob Fatu. Roman Reigns might be the one true chief, but I am singing the praises of Jacob, and if I have to go to war for one of them, I'm going to pick the guy whose nickname is the Samoan Werewolf. Jacob is what Solo wishes he could be. It's what Tonga Loa wishes he could be. It's what Tama Tonga wishes he could be. If they let Jacob run wild, watch out. He's going to be on the Mount Rushmore. Like I said, for the Anoa'i family, it'll go The Rock, Yokozuna, Roman Reigns, Jacob Fatu.
You know, if I was somebody close to Jacob Fatu, it would be... I would not imagine he is somebody that smells very good. He probably has a little bit of a stank to him.
Okay.
So if you're somebody close to him, you might want to consider, for Christmas this year, give them some Dr. Squatch soap. And you can get that by using the referral link in our description. To head over to drsquatch.com, and you can get $10 off their 9-pack bar of soap. A lot of great scents in there. They have the Wood Barrel Bourbon, The Bay Rum.
That's my
Alpine
favorite.
Sage, the Bay Rum.
No, the wood barrel bourbon is my favorite. I know that my father-in-law likes the bay rum smell, and from what I've heard, Dr. Squatch has one of the better bay rum smelling soaps out there. I talked all those months ago about buying the shampoo and the conditioner. Use it as recommended, and I still have a lot in the bottle. It is definitely worth the purchase.
They also have like pine tar, fresh falls, summer citrus, cool fresh aloe, a coconut scent, a cold brew scent. It looks like cold brew cleanse and a spearmint basil. So a lot of great scents to choose from. Whatever you or maybe even the misses in your life love to smell like, and they have all these scents in a cologne as well and deodorant. So you kind of imagine no mixing of smells. So that's something you don't really realize. Like you don't want to get like this really nice smelling body wash and the deodorant, and then douse it with Axe body spray or something like that.
No,
you need to get a good pack of cologne. You can get all three of their best-selling colognes on sale right now for $117. Some people pay that for just one good smelling cologne. You can get three.
That's true.
That'll last you the entire year, if not longer. Maybe even if you don't have a lady in your life, you wear this out to the bar, maybe to a wrestling event. Maybe the ring rats will start coming to you. You never know.
And also watch their website, because besides their normal scents, it also will bring out some very fun collaborations. They've had a collaboration just within the past year with Minecraft, with the Ninja Turtles, where they put out a pizza flavored soap, or pizza scented. It is natural, so you probably could eat it. A SpongeBob scented Wolverine. I've read others that they're coming out with, and I am very excited. They seem to have their finger on the pulse, and every time that I think they've had one thing that's going to top something, they bring something else out. We love Dr. Squatch here. Yes. And like you said, Jacob Fatu, I can't imagine that werewolves bathe. It just doesn't seem... So, yeah.
Themselves. I think that's their bathing, but...
Yeah, and since it's natural, he won't get sick. But, you know who usually, would love scents, soaps, all that for Christmas? Dads. You know who hates dads? Number 14 on our list, Christian. Yep. Christian is, I don't know what it's called. Sue me. He is AEW's version of the Mr. Money in the Bank.
It's a casino something. Let me see.
He's eventually going to be the AEW champion. That's awesome for him, especially because a few years ago we thought his career was over. We thought a Royal Rumble appearance was one and done. But here he is. He and his group are just terrorizing AEW. He reminds me of a mafia boss, because the other heel stables will come to him and be like, "Hey, can we get your help?" And he's sitting there in his turtleneck and his little sports coat, and yeah, I guess. He had probably the best moment on the mic with Edge when told him to go fuck himself. That was beautiful. I just like watching Christian climb up this list. Again, one of those where you didn't think he'd have much of a career. He got definitely, we admitted it before on a podcast, overhyped when he was brought in to AEW.
Yeah.
But ironically, besides Sting, I think he has done the best for people that AEW have hyped and brought in. Which is funny, because if you look at the list, they probably should have been at the bottom. And they're killing it. I'm excited for when he eventually wins that AEW title. Or on the flip side, if he tries cashing in and doesn't win it, his reactions are going to be fantastic.
He won a casino gauntlet match.
Okay.
I don't know exactly what that actual briefcase is called, though.
Mr. Casino in the Bank.
Casino in the Bank.
But yeah, if you haven't seen what Christian's done, on the mic, in the ring. Definitely search it out. He is consistently a top guy for AEW, even if he's not in the main event. And who'd have thunk it that with Edge being back, the Hardys having a top spot in TNA, Bubba Ray Dudley appearing here and there, that out of everyone from that TLC match that is active, Christian would be having the best career at this point.
Also the highest on our list.
Yes. And above him, I've been chomping at the bit. I'm excited. Lucky number 13. Actually is friend of the podcast. Not a meme, not a joke, not a goof, not a gaffe. A intro for our podcast. Former X Division champion, Speedball Mike Bailey. One of the nicest guys you will talk with. I was at a online presser for TNA, and it was him and PCO, and nothing but positives came out of him. And then you watch him in the ring, and I know it was probably one of the first times you got to see him.
Yeah.
Amazing work. And he's clearly able to ad-lib based on how we feel the end of that match went. Speedball, nothing but praises from us. I'm excited to see where he goes after this year, because it seems his TNA run's done. It's rumored it'll be AEW, but I think whether he goes to AEW or WWE, he's going to outperform. He's not a guy that's going to come in with a lot of hype regardless, but he's going to prove his worth. And that's, you'll love to see it.
Yeah, I'm excited for the future of Mike Bailey. I think he's somebody, maybe we're a little biased.
Maybe we're a little biased.
He is somebody I think that will be contending for a spot on our list for years to come, unless something tragic or dramatic happens to him. But specifically, I think he's somebody that he would kill it in this version of NXT, especially with Shawn Michaels running it.
Yeah.
I feel like that's where if I had like a direct line of contact with him to get into his ear, like, hey, you should go to NXT. 'Cause I feel like he is somebody that would probably just get lost in the shuffle of of AEW, and like that's one of my biggest complaint for AEW, especially this past year. I'm somebody that roots for AEW, that wants them to do good.
Yes.
They just have a lot going on. They have a lot of different stories going. All of them kind of don't really make sense. They're all kind of like there's just a lot happening there. There's no identity right now in AEW, and that kind of goes back about a year and a half now. And I just don't want Mike Bailey to be part of that.
Yeah, and I think
if he goes there, he'll have great matches. He might win the TNT title, or what's it called? They just changed the name. Is it the International title?
Yes. Yeah. So my hope is, if you remember, the Motor City Machine Guns were supposed to go to AEW, and then they showed up in WWE. My hope is Mike Bailey shows up in the Royal Rumble. And then, even if he goes to NXT, that's fine. He seems like the type of guy that Triple H would love, because he's great in the ring, but he's just like a normal guy outside of it. Doesn't seem like he'd give him any issues. They'd be like, hey, Mike Bailey, can you be this silly Karate Kid gimmick? And he'd be like, I'd love to. Hey, Mike Bailey, can you do this, can you just feud with this guy? Yeah, I'd love to. Love Mike Bailey. Love Speedball. I'm glad that I got to introduce you to him when he was first on our top 25, and I'm glad that he is continuing to progress in a positive manner. And now, I think these next two are probably going to be the ones that make people hate us. Number 12, above Mike Bailey, above Christian, above Joe Hendry, above Jacob Fatu, the learning tree himself, Chris Jericho, the Ring of Honor heavyweight champion. I've defended him for a long time now. The only thing in AEW that Jericho's done that I have not liked was I hated the Jericho Appreciation Society, and that wasn't his fault. I think a lot of the people in it, they were ass. Jake Hager, get out of here. Just, it wasn't a good fit. He did what he could with it. This group now, the Learning Tree, with Brian Keith and Big Bill, fantastic. Being Ring of Honor champion, I don't necessarily agree with, but if it's to get a TV deal, I'll take it. I love me some Ring of Honor. I'll even say I love me some Chris Jericho. Yeah, he's looked a little old. He's looked a little sluggish.
If I had to defend this for us on our behalf, unless you are somebody, we have a couple ahead of coming up here.
Okay.
I think we only have two. Unless you have a super great story going on, or you're just a head and shoulders above everybody, in ring wise. If you had a world championship this year, a great world title run, you're gonna be kind of higher up on the list over some others. That's why Chris Jericho is Ring of Honor champion. So am I gonna put Joe Hendry ahead of Chris Jericho? Joe Hendry didn't win a world title this year.
No, and like I said, the people that he's putting himself with, and it seems the seeds have been planted for Big Bill to turn on him. Jericho on TV has said, he doesn't like friends. He doesn't like having people around him. And if you have friends, then you're an idiot. As Big Bill standing right next to him. Jericho is consistent, and he keeps evolving. He knew his time of jumping off the top rope and doing the lion salt consistently was over, so he brought in the Painmaker. And I think it speaks something that him throwing an elbow can end a match, right? Because wrestling sometimes is about disbelief. You had a 50-something-year-old Ric Flair winning the Intercontinental title. You had a 50s Hulk Hogan winning the Undisputed title. You could believe it because of the aura that they put off. I think Jericho's at that point, right? Where if it was someone else, you'd be like, oh, how'd that end the match? Or, oh, how'd he beat so-and-so? Be like, oh, shit, Jericho did it. All right.
He's a living legend.
He is, and I still think the Learning Tree is a little bit of a dig at Edge and Cena, since they always talk about helping younger talent, but don't tend to. So I think that's Jericho making fun of his friends. My opinion. Could be wrong, but makes sense.
He's a future WWE Hall of Famer, and if AEW has a Hall of Fame one day,
he should be first.
He'll probably be in the first class for sure. He was their first big signing, the big
first
star,
champion.
Yeah, to really legitimize AEW. That's at least how he says it. It's AEW wouldn't have everybody takes claim for AEW being successful.
Ricochet.
I think Jericho's one of the people that kind of has some
an actual claim.
Yeah, because who knows? Because without Jericho going there, how many other people signed there?
Yeah,
because that's always a big thing, I guess. You was hearing somebody I remember Moxley in his book. I think he wrote about it. Was being cautious about this random billionaire starting a wrestling company. How's this going to work out? Do I trust this guy? And have somebody like Jericho there kind of helps bring other people in. I trust Jericho. I trust him.
Yeah. And then on the flip side of things, at our number 11 spot is someone that is definitely a future AEW Hall of Famer. He's a younger talent, but he is definitely one of the top of this generation. The other one that I think will make people mad, Swerve Strickland, everybody, number 11, out of our top 10. The number 2 on the PWI top 500 is our number 11.
Yeah.
He had great matches with Paige. He was a really good heavyweight champion. I'm not saying that's why this is why he's here. I'm not excited for his matches with Bobby Lashley. Bobby Lashley's kind of went off the deep end mentally, and so is MVP, but that's another story for another day. I think Swerve should have been kept in title contention. There's no reason for him to fight a quote-unquote new guy coming into the company. But his matches with Paige were great. Swerve is definitely the one release that WWE regrets. And I just... Great things to come for him. I just think the 10 people we have above him are better than him in one way or another. Now, take that as you will. As I said, I think he and Jericho having these two spots are going to make a lot of people angry.
That's fine. That's fine. Controversy creates cash.
Yeah, and Eric Bischoff's getting a lot of it. He's appearing on GCW, NXT, and has a podcast, so he knows what he's talking about.
Yeah. Yeah, I think Swerve is somebody, he will probably be a fixture in our top 25, in whether he's top 10 or not. For years to come, he's somebody that's going to carry AEW for a while. They always talk about pillars in AEW.
Yes.
He's one of them.
Yeah.
But this is just a stacked top 10 we have. And you can make the argument with everybody here in this top 10 that they should be moved up or down. Because I'm assuming a lot of these guys are going to be your personal favorite wrestler.
Favorites, yeah.
Currently, and you probably can make the case that this person should be number one. I would not worry about the number so much. This is the top 11. Everyone's worried about top 10s. You consider a top 11, all right? Because I think Swerve is head and shoulders above like Chris Jericho, Mike Bailey, Christian right now. But he's not quite there to the people just ahead of him. And I think...
Yeah, especially with what you're saying, especially with who number 10 is, right? Yeah. Number 10 is a previous number 1.
Back-to-back number ones.
The one true chief, the original tribal chief, the big dog, Roman Reigns. Now, this is one of those situations, and we've had it before on the pod, where if he were to have had more matches this year, because he did have quite a bit of time off, he'd probably be higher. Because
it's a mixture of things. He didn't wrestle too much, even when he was quote unquote active. But he was probably part of the biggest wrestling storyline in the past probably 10, 15 years.
Oh yeah.
So he's going to get top 10 regardless. It's just outside. I think just outside of his match at Mania, none of his other matches really stood out to me to move him up anymore. But he's still still the tribal chief. He's still. I think he's still the biggest star in the business right now. So it's hard to put him down any lower. But then again, everybody, these people just ahead of him. I think we kind of ranked ahead of him just based on the technicalities of him not being active all year.
Him having to get the troops together for the War Games match, that was. Do you want to talk about cinema? That was cinema.
Cinema.
And then watching his reaction as each person would slowly come back into the fold for him. Like when the Usos hugged, you saw Roman in the background smiling. Sami Zayn came out, you saw the shocked look on his face. Like, Roman is at a place now, and I think it bleeds over from his personal life. He's just happy. He's got the wise man. He's got his cousins. He's got his honorary Us. He got to have a match with The Rock. His main event match with Cody had Taker and Rock both in it. And I know, Undertaker doesn't make sense. Except he's fought like every Bloodline member in a major feud and feuded with Paul Heyman a lot, but let's overlook that. Roman is just Roman, man. And whenever he returns now, he gets that John Cena pop. His music hits, he could come out and just stand there. And fans love it. And I love that for him. Because I remember in the infancy of this podcast, when we had to talk about he had to go away for cancer.
Yeah.
And we wondered if he'd come back. And now here he is, the guy. It seems, not only for him, but for Rollins as well, that their career's ticking down. I think Roman will be the first to go, just because, as I said, the previously mentioned cancer. He's been on top. He's already working that part-time schedule. So enjoy Roman while you can.
Yeah, I think he's somebody that Hollywood is calling his name.
Yes.
He's got the look. I don't know if he's got the acting ability, but we will
Well,
see.
sometimes his cousin doesn't either.
I don't think his cousin has any. He plays the same character in every movie, and I get that's another topic. But somebody that will probably be a wrestler for the rest of his life, and he'll probably be okay with that.
Yeah.
Somebody I think I can say probably in ring work. Like I said earlier, he's one of the guys that this year has not won a world title, but he's just so head and shoulders above everybody, like in the ring, like talent wise. Number 9 is Will Ospreay.
Bruv.
And
Yeah.
This is purely just almost essentially based on his in-ring ability. Yeah, he debuted in AEW this year. He's finally doing a full-time American run. He's feuding with Kyle Fletcher right now.
Yeah, because the last time he really did anything, he had a couple matches for TNA. It was kind of him dipping his toes in, and then AEW came calling. I wouldn't doubt he's going to be an AEW champion. Probably, I'd say within next year, right? They've got to pull the trigger. They've got to also do a match with Kenny Omega if Omega gets healthy enough.
I think he will be the one that takes off Christian.
That makes sense.
If I had to make the next, I think Christian cashes in or whatever. Like I think. Well, okay. I don't know who exactly will be Moxley. Maybe Darby, and then maybe Darby only holds it for like a night, a couple minutes. And then Christian cashes in and wins it, and then I think Will will be the next new world champion after that.
And then you'll hear Will in a promo go, "I'm gonna be your daddy," and then the fans will go, "Oh!" But no, yeah, Ospreay is great in ring. He's always one of those that you'll hear me talk about. If you only watch WWE and AEW, make sure to look this guy up. Ospreay is one of those guys, and now mainstream audiences get to see him. I definitely think his influence of that British strong style is going to be felt in wrestling for a long time. And again, I mean, AEW's got a solid one with him. Let's just see if, as you mentioned before, if they use him correctly and he doesn't just fall through the cracks.
Somebody that fell through the cracks at WWE and kind of has found himself now since his release last year. And his current TNA World Champion.
Yes.
Nick Nemeth. He is at number 8.
A fantastic guy. I want to just start with. We met him at the Squared Circle Expo.
Yeah, nice conversation with him. We walked like a mile
to get cash for him.
Cash, so we could pay him because he does not like paying the tax man. So he does not want a trace of all the money he's been collecting. So he is a cash only vendor.
And we each got to hold a belt, and it was a good time. It was a great time. They're putting all their eggs in the basket at that promotion for him and Cardona to fight. But as you said, he is the TNA champion. We watched him retain at Bound for Glory. He was also at the press conference. Very genuine guy. But as you said, yeah, he's done a lot. Especially, I mean, people don't realize it, but he is older. He's been wrestling for years. I mean, he first appeared on WWE in 2006 with the Spirit Squad. And here we are, 2024, main event of the third largest promotion in America. And he's killing it. He's always that hypothetical, right? Because clearly Triple H liked him because he was involved in the Survivor Series when Sting came back. If Vince would have left sooner, would he still be in WWE and would he be doing well in WWE?
How soon are we talking? I think he was pretty disillusioned early on.
Yeah, and he's definitely one of those. I know some people say, "Oh, Vince did this, Vince did that." I think you can pinpoint Dolph being disillusioned and Dolph wanting to leave wrestling. You can put that on Vince, especially when, like I said, he won that Survivor Series match, and then Vince pretty much said, "Oh, that was supposed to be Roman's spot, but he was out, so not gonna do much with you." And so good for him going to TNA, proving he is that Shawn Michaels incarnate that everyone talked about. He can go with anyone, and the interesting story you talked about wrestling stories is what is this relationship with him and John Layfield?
It's been going on for a while, and does not seem to be getting answered anytime soon. I don't think.
Yeah, and it doesn't seem like he even knows what's going on because I noticed at Bound for Glory, he's confused, but he still took that W, as would I.
Yeah, you got to.
Now we're getting into the real nitty gritty here. Number 7. If this list was based on drip, if this list was based on how well someone dressed, if this list was based on the best laugh, Seth Rollins is number 1. But unfortunately, it is our PWP top 25, so he is number 7.
Yeah, he was a world champion this year. He was the first world heavyweight champion with a newer iteration. He did double duty at Mania this past year, being involved again in one of the biggest storylines in wrestling in the past 10-15 years. Kind of been carrying the company a little bit, I would say. Earlier
Yeah, his back's got to be hurting.
His back was literally hurting. He could barely walk. He came back relatively soon.
And now he's been finishing up a feud with Bronson Reed. It looks like he's pivoting. Monday Night Raw right now, for those that haven't been watching, there's so many feuds intertwined with each other. They have stories for days. Like, he's angry at the Bloodline for bringing Punk in. He's angry at Sami Zayn for teaming with Punk and Roman. He's just angry at Punk. Plus, he's still feuding with Bronson Reed. Seth Rollins could really go anywhere, and that's the thing. He puts on such good matches, it doesn't matter who he's against. The rumor is Punk at Mania. But as I said before, I've heard they could pivot the Punk-Rollins feud into Punk-Roman and then do Punk-Rollins. It's just, there's a lot they can do. Hopefully, no injuries.
Because I feel like we're going to talk about this later. But I have a great idea for a Punk-Rollins WrestleMania feud that I would love to share with you. But I feel like this would be a better conversation for later. But what'd you say?
John Moxley's coming back.
Hell yeah! We all thought that at Mania for last year for like 15 seconds.
Yep.
It crossed my head. I was like, really? I was thinking to myself, is there some like news I missed that his contract was up, or is this some sort of like deal that AEW did for some reason? And I don't know.
No, it's just wrestling fans being wrestling fans. But speaking of being a fan, I will let you take number 6.
Thank you. Yeah, probably my favorite wrestler of all time. I would probably say he's probably 1 or 2 for sure. And that's crazy to think. After all these years, since the past, how long it's been, like 12 years, I've been kind of watching him religiously. I know a lot of people watch him even before then in Ring of Honor. That his full-time career has now come to an end. So at number 6, we have Bryan Danielson, a guy I've thankfully been able to meet at StarCast, thanks to you and your brother. So thank you for that.
Yes.
He was awesome. And I'm glad that he was able to get a world title in AEW. The most selfless guy in wrestling. Hopefully, I can see him wrestle live one more time. I've not seen him wrestle live since was he in that AEW Blood and Guts match that I went to? I know for sure I seen him wrestle, at least for the last time in WWE, at a live show when he was the eco-friendly champion. That was awesome. So
all I know is he still owes me a WrestleMania match. If you don't remember, it was he that teamed with Shane McMahon at WrestleMania. So I offered to team with Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn to fight them and a partner of their choosing. And then a year later, I picked the partner for them, that Dirty Nicholas. But yes, Bryan Danielson, on top of the world.
I gotta look.
I
don't remember if he was at this match or not.
I love what they did with him in AEW. It was a good way for him to go out. A lot better than what WWE seemed to have planned by having him just lose to Roman. And as you said, he said his full-time career is not over, which pretty much means that's going to be a little carrot that AEW can hold out to people. Is, hey, you can come to our show and we might be able to talk Danielson into coming back for a match for you. So I mean, we have to see what will happen, if that'll happen. But I bet he's got at least a couple more in his tank. And with AEW putting on big shows in Chicago, you never know. You could see him again.
I think he'll actually come back at some point to get revenge on the Blackpool Combat Club. Or they have a new name now.
Yeah, the Death Riders.
Yeah, so he'll come back for them at least to finish that up. But yeah, I guess all before we start recording, this will probably be the last time we'll be able to rank probably the greatest wrestler alive in our top 25. And we cannot move him up higher than 6, though, unfortunately. But that's okay.
No. If we had any trouble with this list, it was everything after number 5. Because 1 through 5, we pretty much determined as soon as we could. We knew that these were the 5 that we wanted to go with. And starting at 5 is Sami Zayn. Sami Zayn beat Gunther at WrestleMania. Big moment, huge moment. Was the Intercontinental Champion. Oh, yeah.
I might have been like that. Like match-wise, like work-wise, probably the best match of the weekend. One of them.
Sami Zayn proved his worth there. As I said, Intercontinental Champion. He was one of the best spots in an already amazing War Games build-up by having the Usos having to bring him back in. And, I mean, you couldn't have done it without the Honorary Us.
The Honorary Us.
And Sammy, I mean, just to build on his legend, right? He was realistically the first person that took Roman to the limit. He beat the Usos, and now he's beating Gunther. So Sami Zayn is like the underdog. If I'm a big main eventer, I'm afraid going into a match with Sami Zayn because I'm probably going to lose. And I will never get tired of hearing Michael Cole scream Blue Thunder Bomb.
Sami Zayn's got to win the world title before he retires, right?
Oh, I'm all for it.
They gotta give it.
The crowd will go nuts. There'll be confetti. His music will be playing. It'll be the best.
When's the next PLE in Montreal?
I'd have him do it in Saudi Arabia just to stick it to the Saudis. Number 4 on our list is someone that I just mentioned. It seems a little crazy that I was just hyping Sami Zayn up for beating Gunther, and Gunther's above him, but the Ring General had an amazing year. Yes, he lost to Sami Zayn, but from there it was nothing but upwards.
It was a means to an end. He was destined to become world champion this year. I think we called it last year, if I have to be honest with you, and it happened.
And he also won King of the Ring.
I prayed for this, and it happened. Gunther won a world title, and I hope he holds it for a while. There's only 2 people, and I'll tell you about it in another episode. I think could and should beat Gunther here soon for the world title. But he is somebody that will probably always be in the world title picture. He is I know Kevin Owens says he's a prize fighter, but he's not fought for many prizes recently.
No.
I think Gunther is somebody that's driven. His character is driven by being a champion. So he's going to bounce from championship to championship from now until the end of time, and it'll be awesome, and he'll slap the shit out of everybody. I think Ludwig Kaiser will probably be somebody he's going to be feuding with shortly, I would assume.
Yeah, it almost seems like he's moving away from Kaiser. He's moving away from wanting help because he got upset that Finn Balor and Dom, at the Judgment Day, helped him against Damian Priest. He wanted to prove it on his own. He needed to prove it. I like the story they're going with Gunther here. I'm excited to see who he fights. I'm really happy that he didn't have a match with Brock Lesnar at this last Mania, because I'm going to assume they would have had Brock beat him. Because whenever it seems Brock's supposed to lose, he wins. So I'm glad that didn't happen. I'm glad that, that P Fiend is out of the company, and
For now.
Gunther gets to wrestle all these other people. Do I
Fiend.
think do I think he'll be the one that Cena beats? Yes, because somehow, even though they're making him tweener right now, he's gonna go back to being a heel, and he's gonna be the foreign menace, and Super Cena's gonna come in. And why do I act like I'm upset? I'm excited for it.
Yeah.
Cena will come back.
We're going to cheer. We're all John Cena fans.
I'm gonna buy the T-shirts. I'm gonna buy the wristbands. I'm gonna sell my animals so that way I can afford an autograph.
Sorry,
Life.
Evie. Love you.
Yes. Sorry, dogs. Sorry, cats. I'm not gonna call you by your names because then I'm too attached. I gotta get that Cena autograph.
Much more valuable than your life.
Much more. Now, number 3 is someone that I actually have met. I actually do have his autograph. I met him when he was the Ring of Honor champion, when my wife and I went and saw the Soaring Eagle Cup for Ring of Honor. That's right. Number 3 is Cody Rhodes.
Man, crazy that the man that ended racism was only number 3 on our list.
I know. He also finished the story. And I know a lot of people were nervous at Mania that he wasn't going to, and I'll be honest, if Vince was in charge, I don't think he would have won. I think Vince would have laughed and had Roman win again. But Triple H is in charge now. Things seem to be changing. Cody finished the story, and from then on, the reason I have him at 3, because I know that we talked about 2 or 3, he hasn't done a lot with the heavyweight title, and for a year straight, I heard about how he'd be a fighting champion, and how he'd, redefine the title, and he didn't even defend it at Survivor Series. Granted, the Bloodline match was important, but you can still have him there. Like, you're telling me he and Kevin Owens have to main event Saturday night's main event just so Hulk Hogan can help Cody Rhodes win? But nothing against Cody. He is definitely the guy. It's crazy that all those years ago I bought the inaugural, before it was even AEW, pay-per-view, and watched him win the NWA Championship. And as I said, I saw him with the Ring of Honor title, and now all these years later, he is the man, the face. Good for Cody Rhodes. I wouldn't be surprised if one year he gets to number 1 on our list.
And I think next year could possibly be the year. Honestly, you could have made an argument for this year for him to be in number 1. But there's just 2 people that we'll talk about obviously later that kind of just barely edged him out. And I think, how I think he gets number 1 next year?
Oh.
He brings out Homelander Cody.
Yeah.
Turns heel. Maybe. I think it's something that's possible. Do I want it to happen? Sure. I like the chaos of it a little bit. Do I think it will happen? I don't know. I'm not really sold on it. He is such a brand ambassador, kind of like how John Cena was.
Well, that, and we mentioned earlier how Larry has a stuffed animal. If you remember, the first to do that was Pharaoh.
Yeah.
So, I mean, there's so much merchandise you could do with Cody. And he's, as you said, he's the face. He's all American. Kids love him. Moms love him. Wives love him. As you said, he ended racism. What isn't left for Cody Rhodes besides slapping? I don't remember his name now. The guy from Moana. What's his name in Moana? I know it's The Rock, but his name in Moana. Maui? Yeah, Maui. He's going to slap the taste out of Maui's mouth. He's going to just erase all his tattoos, and he's going to toss him in that volcano. And then there's nothing left for Cody. And if for some reason, if a representative of Dwayne The Rock Johnson is listening, I know that Maui is a god. I know Cody Rhodes is human. Please don't be offended. I know it's in your contract. You can't lose a fight. But you're going to lose to Cody, pal.
Get ready to learn the lyrics of Kingdom, buddy.
As you number 2 on our list, The only Shield representation in the top 5, which is crazy because for years they were our number 1.
Yeah, they were the top 3 last year, I believe it was. We literally
Yeah,
said at
and
the beginning. We have such short-term memory here. They're always top 3. They kind of always switch back and
yeah,
forth.
Roman, Seth, and Moxley are all number 1 at one point. But here he is at number 2, John Moxley, the leader of the Death Riders, as you said, the former BCC. He's kind of came in with a new edge. He is taking out the trash in AEW. He helped choke Danielson out at the end of Danielson's last match, and now he's going after the AEW faithful. Private Party, Orange Cassidy, Darby Allin. The list of AEW originals that Moxley's targeting goes on and on and on. There's rumors that there will be a higher power, and so help me God, if his higher power is Shane McMahon, I will do everything I can to keep John Moxley off of the top 25 next year.
Altogether?
Altogether. Anyone associated with Shane McMahon, I will keep from the top 25 because I want to take Shane McMahon. We talked about edge leaping. I want to do that with Shane, but instead of going feet first, I want to send him head first. But that's beside the point. We're talking about John Moxley, number 2. I love what he's doing. He when he first came to AEW, he was kind of called the Stone Cold of AEW. And what he's doing now solidifies it. I feel bad for Moxley because it seems like whenever people get hurt or suspended, Tony Khan's going to call him up and he's got to do his thing. Well, I don't think that's going to stop because I don't know if Moxley's ever done anything bad, to be honest, since becoming John Moxley. Clearly, WWE, there was some questionable things. But AEW, I mean, as much as people don't want to admit it, I think him and Jericho are the definite MVPs of AEW since it's began. Maybe not just this year, maybe not just last year, but in its entirety, that's your 2 guys.
Yeah, for sure. Mox is somebody that's going to be in our top 25, probably top 5, until he stops being a full-time active wrestler.
Yeah, I'd have to think, besides Roman, that on average, he probably has our highest spot, if we averaged everyone out.
Yeah,
Roman's couple number 2s have made Roman higher than Moxley, but I don't think anyone else has done consistently as well as Moxley in our top 25.
Yeah, with Roman being 10 this year.
That's true.
And with Rollins being 7, that brings him
down.
So he's probably the best. That's something we could look into, doing the average top 25 for the past 4 years. Maybe we can do it next year. That'll be our 5th one.
Yeah. 5th one, see who is our PW. Maybe start a PWP Hall of Fame. Who knows? But
what's going on? That just leaves us number 1. Who do we have left? We kind of said a lot of the big names right now in the industry.
Yeah.
You're probably thinking yourself, man, Cody's 3, Mox is 2, Roman's 10. Who could possibly be number 1?
Number 1's gotta be the Scottish Psychopath. The man who took CM Punk to the limit over a bracelet. The man who held the world title for about 6 seconds at WrestleMania. Alright, describing it like that doesn't sound great. But number 1 is Drew McIntyre. What I described Moxley as for AEW as the guy that'll come in and do anything when needed, that's Drew. That is Drew for WWE. I loved his matches with Punk. I don't think I've ever had a series of matches that I've been that excited for, that entertained with. I loved his climb to get to the heavyweight title match. To finally win it at Mania in front of the crowd, have his big moment. And then Punk costing him.
Yeah, Drew was the best character, best wrestling character this year, bar none. Head and shoulders above everybody else. He had the best promos, best posts on social media, best moments, best character moments, and all of his matches, all of his big matches, at all the pay-per-views he wrestled at, all blew it out of the park. He was awesome. I think some people When you said that Drew McIntyre was number one, some people might have rolled their eyes and said that, maybe Cody being WWE champion all year should have been one, or Mox winning the AEW title should be one, or Danielson being one. I don't think any of them really had like the consistent big moments that Drew had.
Yeah.
They all had big moments. I'm not saying that. Cody also had the biggest moment of the year, the biggest match. But Drew is just every time he was on TV, it was like magic, man. He truly had the best year. I don't think he's done with Punk. I think he's purposely off television right now for a reason.
He just came back.
Did he?
And he took out Sami Zayn. I don't know on Raw. Yeah.
Oh.
I don't. That's when I said all those stories are weaving. I don't know if this is going to be an enemy my enemy is my friend thing with Seth Rollins, and he's going to be angry at Zayn, and he's going to be angry at Punk for teaming with Roman. Because if you remember, one of the first big casualties of the Bloodline was McIntyre. So maybe this is going to be one of those things where the unlikely team of McIntyre and Rollins teams up to face, the Roman defenders. I'm excited for McIntyre to fight Zayn. I'm excited for McIntyre, as you said, to have another go with Punk. I'm excited for McIntyre to fight Rollins. When Cena's back, I'm excited for this McIntyre to face John Cena.
Yeah.
There's nothing Drew can't do. It seems, I believe I read he did sign the contract, so he's going to be at WWE probably till the end of his career. I know he's getting up there a little bit, and he's already done everything. I'm excited to see where things go. In a perfect world, he'll fight Gunther at Mania, just, again, as we said with Breakker and Fatu, big meaty men slapping meat. If he doesn't fight Gunther, luckily, as I said, he fights Sammy, it'll be a great match. He fights Sheamus, it'll be a great match. He fights Cena, it'll be a great match. McIntyre's moves... McIntyre reminds me of someone that you'd create on a video game when you're younger. He's got the cool look. He kind of looks like The Undertaker, but he's got more muscle. He's more modern. His moveset, he just has dominating kicks, headbutts, a DDT. Like, he's the wrestler.
He is the top wrestler on the PWP Top 25 of 2024. Big congratulations to Drew McIntyre. I'm sure.
Yeah, by being number one, you are now friend of the show.
Friend of the show. Well, I'm sure when we post about you on social media, you're going to love it. You're not going to say anything mean to us about it. You're an outstanding citizen. Great guy.
Remember, it was Anthony that wanted a Larry. It was not myself. So, Drew, I'm with you.
You know what, Drew? If Punk wrestled a full year, I would have rated him ahead of you.
Whoa. Whoa, I guess we'll have to see if Punk wrestles a little more next year. Injury bug doesn't bite him. We'll have to see who... Any predictions for anyone that you think could be number one next year?
Cody could be one. Mox could always be one. If Gunther has a great year, I can see him being one. I think historically, obviously, it's been mostly Shield members. I think somebody that's been ranked one has been ranked in the top 25 the year before. So it could be anybody on this list, we do have a bias for Mike Bailey. So if Mike Bailey comes and has like a Kurt Angle type rookie year in WWE, he could be one.
I'm wondering if we're going to see Swerve Strickland get to one or Braun Breaker, because all they need is that moment, and the rocket will be strapped to their back.
Yeah, next year, if I had to predict biggest movers next year, Braun Breaker, LA Knight, if you're correct, he wins Money in the Bank. Swerve, I think, will move up quite a bit, even though he's 11. I think he's somebody that could be top 5 next year.
And if I had to pick someone that's not on the list that I think will be next year, just based on... Because, again, this is for the entire year, not just for the past month or so. Because if it was for the past month, Shinsuke would be on this list. And I think, with how he's being used now, I think we see Shinsuke in the top 10 next year.
Well, and Shinsuke is somebody that for ever since we've been doing top 25 has kind of not been on the list, or he's kind of he's never been in the top 10. I know that for sure.
Yep, there's a lot of variables.
That's just I think that kind of tells where his career's been the past 3-4 years. Because before you're like, wow, he came Shinsuke Nakamura not top 25.
I'm thinking that could have been a Vince McMahon issue too. I've read a lot that him dropping Cena on his head did not help. Also, Orton's not on the list. AJ Styles isn't on the list. There's a lot of, and that's just WWE. As we said, there's CMLL, AAA, GCW, MLW, D'Amore's promotion, New Japan, the Australian promotion. If I'm leaving you off, I'm sorry, but my goodness, there's a lot of wrestling, a lot of wrestlers. We only have time for 25. But it's kind of fitting that our fifth top 25 will be in the 25th year.
We love that. Before we go, we just wanted to remind you, obviously PWP is brought to you by Dr. Squatch. He's your referral code below. We're also brought to you by Lucha Wars. The card game. It is on sale on Amazon right now for $35 and on their website. Smack Talk Showdown, another board game that we love to play and promote on here. It's on sale right now for $24.99 on their website as well. And Retromania, the video game, Retromania Wrestling, a great game that we've been playing recently. It's available right now on Switch, Xbox, PS4, and Steam.
Yes, and if you have any interest in Dr. Squatch, Lucha Wars, Smack Talk Showdown, or Retromania Wrestling after hearing us talk about them, head over to our Facebook, Instagram, and X, because even though we had a 1-month podcast hiatus, I have been trying to keep the socials active with these great partnerships that we have.